Welcome back to Sunday Breakfast right here on ChannelOne TV. Just gone by a conversation with our colleague in the ChannelOne newsroom, Akosua Otre, shedding light on her recent report at the Babayara school where children have to use a really dilapidated bridge and raising all concerns about safety, security, and the likes. Now we'll delve into our nutrition bit, right? A very important aspect of the show because we want you making the right decisions about your health. And this is why the segments exist. Who we rather have it with no other person than not this year, our favorite RD, registered dietitian. And it's been a while.
Sure.
I mean, in the past 2 weeks, we've not seen you. Yeah, Gloria was around.
Yes.
You abandoned us. No, but you left us in good company.
Yes.
I hope all is well.
All is well, by God's grace.
We thank God. Now, you don't bring...
Very soon I'll be bringing a lot.
You'll be bringing a lot.
Yes.
Wow, interesting. So today we have an important conversation, right? Last week we touched on hypertension. We got a lot of people sending in their messages. People were not... like we couldn't even exhaust all the messages. So I want you, before we delve into today's topic, just briefly summarize for us what the main issues are, what we are looking out for when we talk about hypertension as in relation to our health.
Okay, so hypertension is all has to do with the blood pressure. So when we talk about nutrition management of hypertension, we are talking about ensuring that we have a lot of fiber in our foods. We have good oil. You know, the heart is protected by good oil or good fats. Okay, so getting a lot of seeds in your food. Ghanaians are not used to seeds. We are all not used to seeds. But being deliberate about your food choices to ensure good health, you have to introduce seeds.
Talk to me directly. Don't pass in corners. Mention my name. Talk to me directly.
I'm glad you know that.
Don't pass
I would
in
have
any corners.
You anyway.
Don't pass in any corners. Wow, interesting. I like that background, and that's an important reminder. Today we're focusing on reading food labels.
Yes.
It's a very, in my estimation, a very technical, really technical conversation, because if I'm to pick like my favorite fruit juice can, right? What am I to pay attention to? So maybe you can just start by talking to us about why this is an important conversation to be had.
Okay, so most of the time, dietitians or health practitioners will ask you not to go for processed foods, packaged foods, all that, but you know, it has become part of our lives.
Okay.
There are some good contents there. So in order to go for the best, the nutrition facts label is very important for you to know what is in the package so that you make a good decision.
Okay.
So nutrition facts labels are always a need to know when you have to choose from your shops. Okay. For instance, if you want to choose 3 or 4 brands of your favorite chocolate drink, how can you tell this is the best option?
Okay.
You want to look at the calorie per serving. So when you go to the nutrition facts label,
as you have on our screen,
on your screen, there is always a 7 per container.
Okay. So
you are able to tell, and there's a 7 size, which most of us do not pay attention to. Because let me use our milk, the tin milk. The 7 size is mostly 3 tablespoons. But most of us will not use that quantity. We will pour, and we can even pour a half the whole tin, or ensure we are using all. So if you pick a tin of milk, it's supposed to serve about 4 or 5 people. If I'm very right. But most of the time, because we do not measure, we go for less or more. So a serving size has an appreciable amount of nutrients in there to inform you whether the calorie in a serving is too much for you or not.
Okay.
So for instance, last week when we discussed the cardiovascular diseases, if you're going for milk or even if you're going for biscuits, okay, you check the calorie per serving. Okay, so if that is too much for you, then you advise yourself whether you would take half the servings. Okay, so this sample, for instance, a calorie, this gives us 280 calories per servings. If it is biscuits, and you are going to take about 3 or 4 servings, then you are going to calculate this 280 times 3. So by the time you finish your snacks, you think you have taken just biscuit, but you've taken too much calories. And unfortunately, these are empty calories. Okay, when it comes to food, we always go for nutrient-dense foods. Nutrient-dense foods are the kind of foods that with 1 serving or 2, you are getting a lot of nutrients in there. But those that will give you a lot of calories but less nutrients, those are what we call empty calories.
So there are nutrient-dense foods,
Yes.
and there are empty calories. And what we need to guard against are the empty calories.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Those that will give you lots of sugars, lots of energy, but very small
nutrient value.
So you have just eaten to fill your stomach, but you haven't taken care of the needs of the body. The protein in there is small, the good fats is small,
Okay.
dietary fiber is 0, and unfortunately trans fats is even more. Okay, so you have now seen the servings
Per calorie.
Yes, and the nutrient side, you go, this one has 4.5 saturated fats. So it means that when you take one portion, let me say I have 3 pieces of cream crackers. I'm not mentioning a brand, but that 3 is giving me 23% of my my saturated fats. You know, they all have saturated fats. Even avocado, that is very good, has some amount of saturated fat. You know, talking about avocado, last week's conversation, you can't get it right without avocado. So let's come down here.
Oh God, and you know, I like the way you always try to push in that little reminder there, right? Almost like, Charlie, be careful. It's fine. We take note of it.
Okay, so when you're going for this biscuits,
okay,
and no matter how nice it is, if you want to take 2 servings of that biscuit, you should know that you are getting too much and it gives us 0 trans fats that we want to believe, but the saturated fats will give you too much saturated fat per meal.
okay.
And what's saturated fat and trans fat?
Okay,
The
trans
differences,
fats are what we always condemn, you know, especially they are they expose you to lots of cancers.
Okay.
Okay, and saturated fats is good, but at a limited amount. Too much of it will also expose you to heart diseases, cholesterol. Okay. But trans fats is more carcinogenous. So protecting against cancer, like we're talking about the breast cancer, the trans fats is always condemned. So WHO will always ask for less than, is it 2%? So when you go for a product, you look for a 0 or a 0 gram or less than 1 per servings. Okay. So most of the time when an oil goes into so much heat, all the processed foods have some amount of trans fat because they have been processed. But the amount is what we are guarding against. Okay. Then sodium. Again, talking about sodium, you know, there are some elements that you have to look out for. There are some nutrients you have to look out for. These minerals are very essential when you have to guard against diseases, when you have to protect your health against diseases. And sodium is one key. You cannot talk about good health without talking about sodium salts. So this product is giving me 37% of my daily requirement per servings. So let's say this biscuit is very nice, or potato chips is very nice. So you are eating about 4 servings, where 4 servings is normally a meal. But if you eat a lot, you might take about 6 servings. 6 servings of this amount. So you are thinking about 37 times 4 or 5 at a meal. Before you get up, you have consumed all your sodium allowance for the day. So if you're taking care of your health, then for the rest of the day, you are not supposed to take sodium. So you go for products that has less sodium, so that you can spread the other allowance throughout the day. Okay, so when you are going for the sodium, you choose those that are less than 10. Okay, so if a product is giving you more than 10, then of course it is too much for your health. Dietary fiber. You want to look out for a product that has an appreciable amount of dietary fiber. So if you are not getting dietary fiber there, or what you are getting is very small, then you are supposed to go for a version that will give you an appreciable amount of dietary fiber. Good. Then again, we are looking for added sugar. So tomato paste like this, the tomatoes has sugar already, but there is always an added sugar. So when you are going for added sugar, this product is giving us 12 grams of added sugar. And this particular product has 12 grams of sugar, of which 10 grams is added sugar. It means that the carbohydrate amount is very small. That is giving you 2 grams of sugar. You know, every carbohydrate is sugar in a sense. So if I'm getting added sugar, 10 grams, that is giving me 20% of the sugar allowance in the meal. Then it means that product is just added sugar, table sugar, which is very dangerous for our health. So you would rather go for a product that has less added sugar. And the guiding principle is that you should go for 5 or less. Okay. And this is giving us 20. So this is a sugar you should easily put down. And when it comes to fats, you should go for 1.5 or less. And that is giving us also more. So when you look at the recommendations and what you have, this also will give us 3%, 3 grams of protein, meaning this product has so much sugar than protein, and it has so much not so good fats than the good fats. So this will easily pass for an empty-calorie product. Okay. Wow. So whilst we try and shop for school, we shop for Christmas, we shop for family. We want to look out for the appropriate quantities of nutrients in our meals.
Wow.
Then again, we go to the ingredient section, okay? You realize that some of them, even their sugar is coming from very refined types of sugar. Ingredients, when the ingredient is not in English, you are not so, unless you can understand the language it is written in. I can't believe we would want to go for meals that we don't understand the ingredients there.
Yeah,
okay.
It's very important.
So,
But I think even the laws of the country require that from the either the FDA or the Ghana Standards Authority mandates that each product has the labeling in English.
yes.
Right? So if it's in French or it's in a language that we don't speak here, I don't think it's proper. I'll check the laws and mention.
Good.
But you are saying that it's don't gamble, don't make that gamble at all.
Because you know, as long as the food passes the tongue
Yeah.
and goes down,
It's good.
Yeah.
it is it impacts your body.
Right.
So we shouldn't pay attention to the pleasure the tongue gives us. So if you are going for a product, no matter how nice it is, and you cannot tell what is in it, you are safe sacrificing the pleasure of the tongue and protecting your immunity.
Wow.
Okay.
And let me just push this, right? And let me just mention our numbers again so our viewers can send in their messages for all those who want to. 0204 447 033. 0204 447 033. Send in all of your messages, and I'm sure and I'll be so elated to give you all the necessary responses that you need. The conversation is on food labeling, the fact check, or let me say the fact sheet on nutrients on processed foods. Any questions, any contributions, we'll be glad to read it across for you. And I think one of the issues that keep coming up with regards to processed foods for a lot of people is the packaging of it, right? The materials in which some of them are being kept. So you have some of them being rubber, you have some of them being the takeaway packs, as we call it here. You also see polythenes and all of that. How safe really are those or the materials used in packaging the food outside of the nutrients facts that we are talking about? Because I see people say, for example, don't eat banku from a hot rubber. You know, they don't. Eno's house, they don't do it like that. But I mean, back in the day, when you do the banku, you find our parents putting it in a rubber for whatever reason. They are cooking rice. They'll use another polythene to cover the rice for some time, and we hear people raise health issues around all of those. So we are discussing nutrients facts, right, on labeling. So the question is, are those the ways we package the foods also a concern?
Very very good to even talk about these. You know, sometimes in our homes, when we prepare our banku and we want to store, we put them in these margarine rubbers.
Yeah.
We wrap them. So you can have the rubber even contaminating the food. Banku that you might have prepared, you might have selected your maize well and prepared it well, but the rubber is what is contaminating it because the heat pulls out the chemicals in the rubber to contaminate it. Okay, so it has always been advised that you are better off wrapping your banku in leaves. The leaves will give you some micronutrient. That's what we do at home. When we don't have those green leaves, you can put them in silver containers and keep for 2-3 days. They will not go bad. When you know that you are going to use them more than 2 days, you put them, when they cool, you put them in rubber containers and they go into the fridge. You reheat them whenever you are going to eat and you are good to go. Most especially when you are even cooking rice and we cover the rice with rubber so to trap the steam, we are also contaminating the food with the chemicals from the
Because I see a lot of people do that.
Yes, yes.
So it's not healthy.
It's not healthy at all. And it's the green leaves we use for wache should be a common leaf in our homes. When you cover your rice with those leaves, before you cover with the rubber, even when you cover it well, you don't need a rubber.
Okay.
Okay. When you cover, let the leaves get in contact with the leaves. Okay. And the rubber, if you have to, especially when it is jollof and you don't want to have the hard part, let it be on the tip.
Okay.
Okay. Not on the meal.
Not on the meal.
Okay.
Okay.
And even if it's on the tip and you don't have the leaves there to protect the meal, you are still contaminating your food.
For the processed foods, right, that are kept in some of these rubber bags, some of them have the labels on. But are they okay? Is it okay to, for instance, buy processed meat, right, that's been tied in a polythene bag, even though the nutrient facts is on it?
And not at all, especially those that were tied before going into the oven. Not at all.
It's not advisable.
Not at all. They are not safe. You know, when it comes to food safety, those that are not safe, those meals are not safe at all.
And if I don't remember anything at all today, because normally when I pick food, I'm looking at the expiry date only. So what would you say are your top 3 nutrients that I should look out for? And, you know, at what levels or daily nutrients percentage should they be?
Okay. So when you pick a nutrition fat label, or when you pick a food product on the shelf and you're paying attention to the nutrition fat label, always pay attention to the serving size. Okay. So that it will inform your decision how many of the food to take. So if a serving size is giving you about 3 grams of protein, and you want to take 3 or 4 of that to get some amount of protein, check how many calories you are getting from that serving size. Okay. And check the sugar. Look out for added sugar. Look out for the amount of sodium. Okay. And the amount there is a red, gold, green. There is a red, gold, green image I brought.
Poster,
yes.
Right.
So you are always supposed to go for the low parts. So when it comes to fats, you are supposed to take the less than 3 grams per fat. You are supposed to take sugar less than 5 and 5.
I like how you call this. So you say it's the traffic lights food label guide.
Yes.
Where it's grouped in the healthier choice,
Yes.
mid-level,
Yes.
and just occasionally. So just occasionally red,
Yes.
because you have to watch it.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes.
Perfect.
So if you have this in mind, you should know that when you pick a product, think about good health, think about balanced meal. There should be dietary fiber.
Right.
If there's no fiber in the biscuits, it is not healthy. If the sugar level in the biscuit is too much, it is also not healthy.
Okay.
Trans fats should be 0 or less than 1%.
Right.
1.3.
Okay.
Okay, if it is more, don't go for. And look out also for the new ingredients, the specific ingredients. Sometimes the sugar is coming from the whole grains. When you see that and you even see a less than 5, you know that it is whole, okay? But if the added sugar is small, then you are informed that this is empty calories, okay? So look out for sodium is there as salt. That one too impacts our health, our kidneys and our hearts, okay? So most of the time, when you pick, don't only look at the expiry dates.
Don't be like me.
Look at,
Always learn something
Yes.
with you, and I thank you so much. This is our registered dietitian, and this what there. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away.